Coming up here on today's show, we're going to be looking at the Raiders' winners and losers against the Rams in joint practice. The Raiders and the Rams, they battled the past 2 days, August 16th and 17th in practice, which, to be honest, the 16th was the day that a lot more reps were had compared to the 17th. But hey, the Raiders and Rams actually go up against each other August 19th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And Jeremy Chuggs and I, we're going to be live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications because this Saturday, it's going down and it's going to be one hell of a show. Now, the way that we're going to start this is we're going to start with the offensive players first, and then we will work our way to the defense. I see the $100 super chat from Patrick B, and you bet your ass we are banging the super chat. We're banging, not Patrick B and I, after this show. First one's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. He's probably done a lot of banging at the ranch, but the reason why he's going to be a winner is, according to sources I've been talking to, he continues to be able to spread the football around, whether it's Hunter Renfrow, Jakobi Meyers, Davante Adams is always going to do his thing. But Garoppolo is really showing command of that offense where, Raider fans got excited to see what Aidan O'Connell did in that first preseason game. Garoppolo's doing essentially the exact same thing at joint practices. Let's go to another winner here. I got to give this nod here to Sincere McCormick. And the reason why he's on this list is the Raiders are continually using him in the running game, obviously, but also in the passing game. I was told by a player, a Raiders offensive lineman, that McCormick has gotten light years better at pass protection, which that's a big thing for a young player like that to be able to take the next step. And because Britton Brown has missed so much time with injury, that helps out McCormick and his chance to actually make this 53-man roster. Another winner, and I usually don't put the obvious names in here, but Davante Adams was just straight cooking the last 2 days. And then with his injury last week, and it's only 5 days after that injury to the shin, when you're able to just bounce back that quick like nothing has happened, it doesn't matter if there was 2 players on him or not. Davante Adams was out roasting people, and arguably the weakest part to that Rams defense is their secondary, and it showed in joint practices the last 2 days. Jakobi Meyers is another big winner. I know that he's not the headliner that Davante Adams is, but I am really excited to see what Meyers looks like this upcoming season because he's a hell of a wide receiver too. Like when I tell y'all the Raiders have Davante Adams, Jakobi Meyers, and then Hunter Renfrow, those are 3 receivers that are top 40 receivers. Not many NFL teams can say that, hey, we got 3 receivers in the top 40 on our roster. That helps out this offense a lot. Another winner has got to be Phillip Dorsett. He's showing his speed. He's showing the big play ability. And I know that the Raiders want players that can take the top off. I'm not sitting up here saying that Phillip Dorsett's going to finish the season with a lot of statistics, but he is going to set up a lot of big plays for a lot of players around him. Why? When you send Phillip Dorsett deep, what does that do? Your defense has to make a decision. Do I either send somebody over top or do I go one-on-one? If you go one-on-one, he's going to win more of those than he's going to lose. You send somebody over the top, that then makes it easier for Jacobs to pick up that extra yardage. That means Jakobi Meyers, Davante Adams, Michael Mayer, Austin Hooper, Hunter Renfrow, somebody's going to get a one-on-one. And with this offensive line playing the way that it is, anytime we get a one-on-one, I like our chances. Let's now go to the offensive line, Greg Van Roten. I told you all when the Raiders signed him a few months ago, this is going to be your starting right guard. I still believe that is going to be the case. He's better than Alex Bars. He continues to go out there and be very impressive. Another dude who was, and I mean, one of the biggest winners. I was talking to a fellow starting offensive lineman. I said, hey, man, give me some of your winners on the offensive line. The 2 names that he threw out, the number 1 name was Andre James. He said James is getting better and better and better, and he's making it easier for him to do his job. Another name that was thrown out to me was Colton Miller, where Miller we haven't heard too much about, and a lot of the times it's like it kind of goes to the whole thing. During the offseason, people talk about players that maybe you don't expect so much from. We know that Colton Miller is a top 10 offensive tackle. So he's going to go out there and do Colton Miller things, right? Like, it's going to take a lot to get that notoriety. Miller's going out there. He's doing his thing. He was a clear winner, though, up against the Rams. And then I kind of realized I haven't done this in a long time, but I talked to one of my sources at practice on, what was it, Wednesday? I keep getting my days mixed up. On Wednesday, and I said, who was one of the best practice players? And he said A.J. Cole. And I kind of laughed because I was like, well, why is it A.J. Cole? And he was like, dude, the punts that Cole was making were like field flipping type of punts, like inside the 5, pinpoint accuracy. And I laughed because that's one of the things that, again, we don't nearly talk about enough. I know Daniel Carlson's one of the best kickers in the league, but A.J. Cole, and for you to have that ability to flip the field, where if you have that quick 3 and out, if you only gain 1 first down, you're starting at the 20-yard line compared to starting inside the 5, that's a huge momentum shift. And A.J. Cole had himself one hell of a joint practice. Now, here's the thing, what I want to know from every single one of y'all out there. Name a Raiders joint practice winner versus the Rams on offense. So, any name that you maybe have heard some good things about, please, I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. Let me know some winners on offense. Now we're going to go to some of the losers on the offensive side of the football. The first name that I'm going to bring up here is Netane Moody for 2 reasons. One, from what I've been told, he's losing the battle between Alex Bars and Greg Van Roten. He's probably the 3rd man on that list. He is getting some extra reps with Dylan Parham out right now with that concussion issue. On top of that, he went up against Aaron Donald today. And I don't know if that makes him a loser or not, but he did lose quite a bit to Donald today. Let's go to another loser here on the offensive side of the football. It's Britton Brown, and this is just more of Sincere McCormick is doing his thing. Britton Brown isn't out there on the field, and when you're drafted by this regime, yes, it was in the 7th round. I don't see how in the world this guy makes this roster. Another loser here has got to be Jacob Hollister, and it's not so much what he hasn't done. I really was thinking about putting Cole Fotheringham on the winners list because right now at joint practice, Fotheringham is outplaying Hollister. And if this team does decide to keep 4 tight ends, I think it's going to be Cole Fotheringham over Hollister. Yes, Hollister might be the better blocker, but Cole's showing the more athletic side. And if I'm the Raiders, and I'm McDaniels and Ziegler, and if you guys want to disagree with me, please don't be shy. Let me hear what you have to say. Would you rather bet on the better blocker, or would you rather bet on the player who is showing you more athleticism that's younger? I'm going to bet on athleticism that's younger if it's the 4th tight end on our team. Now, coming up next year, we got some Raiders winners and losers on the defensive side of the football. But before I show you all those guys, winners, losers, hey, if you're a winner, go put your money where your mouth is. Go to chatsports.com/Raiders. You can bet on the Raiders to win the Super Bowl. You can bet on them to win the AFC West. What about Week 1? You can do all of that. You can bet on the NBA now that the schedule's out. You can bet on MLB. Whatever you want, go to chatsports.com/Raiders. But here's the thing. You're not going to get a 125% deposit bonus unless you go to that link down there. You use that promo code. So that means you put down $100. You're going to get $125 for free to bet with. The deal that I like right now, you can bet on Tyree Wilson to win Rookie of the Year. Last time I checked, plus 500 odds. Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Risk $10, win $50. I don't know, Tyree Wilson, I'm willing to take it. Let's go to the next one. Coming up here, more practice winners on defense. Maxx Crosby. Not only do I know that he could beat the shit out of Cam Akers, he's just a bad, bad man. Like, he's the best player on the field every time he steps out there. I was told by one person that he probably had 5 or 6 sacks yesterday. It's pretty good. Let's go to the next name here. Isaac Rochelle, another name that has been sticking out, which kind of interesting because the Raiders, they got a really difficult decision to make here for edge rushers. Like, I know they're going to keep Crosby, Chandler, Tyree. After that, though, there's a lot of unknowns. Adam Plant Jr. has been good. Isaac Rochelle has been out there impressing. Jordan Willis is a name that we'll talk about. So, some interesting names, no doubt about it. Another winner, it's got to be Adam Butler. Like, with whatever the Raiders decide to do at defensive tackle, I've been covering this team since, and I say covering this team, I've been covering this team since 2018 very, very closely. This 53-man roster that we're about to see on August 29th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, I don't know if I'm going to be more excited to see a roster get trimmed down because of all the competition and the battles, but Butler's up there. Nesta Jade Silvera's got to be up there. In one-on-one drills, I mean, Nesta Jade Silvera might be the Raiders' best player in one-on-one drills, and it's kind of tough to get those type of reps because I do think come game time, I mean, if you're able to get a 7th-round pick who's taking on double teams, that just helps out every other player around him. Bilal Nichols continues to show that he is another good name, and I know it's a name that we don't really bring up a lot, but he's the best Raiders defensive tackle. Like, that has been reported. I'm telling you, from players who are on the team, they are telling me straight up, Bilal Nichols is the best defensive tackle on this roster. And when you're expected to play at a certain level, you don't really get the notoriety that maybe some of these other players do. But Bilal's a name that y'all need to keep in mind. Another winner here, Robert Spillane. He's the best linebacker on this roster right now, which scares the absolute freaking hell out of me. It does. He had a lot of picks in Madden. He's got just as many, though, in training camp practice this entire offseason. With Spillane's ability, and when I say ability, his coverage still scares me. And until I see it on Sundays, regular season, I'm going to be a little bit pessimistic. But he is showing the ability to be able to go out there and cover, and he did it again this joint practice rotation. Sam Webb, he had himself an interception, and when you're at this spot where you're the 7th, 8th, maybe he's the 6th corner on this team, depending on what McDaniels and Patrick Graham decide to do. But when you're able to force turnovers, especially when the main thing that the Raiders are really preaching this year in that secondary is turnovers, I got to give Webb the nod to be a winner. And then we got another one, Roderick Teamer Jr. This isn't so much for his play from a defensive side of the football standpoint. This is special teams. And special teams is always something that's overlooked for a lot of people for 53-man rosters and whatnot, but this Raiders organization values it. And when Teamer's one of the top players time and time again, top gunner, I know this is going to be a name that some of y'all old school Raider fans, Oakland fans, when I say old school, I mean like the past few years, Dale Levitt. Why was Dale Levitt always able to make the team? Because he was a great gunner. He was a great special teams player. And Roderick Teamer is the best gunner that this team has right now, and he's showing it. Marcus Epps, he had another interception today in practice. He's been flying all over the football field. He might be one of the biggest reasons why they don't bring back Daron Harmon, because this is your leader. My sneaky captain prediction this year is Marcus Epps. I think they're going to name him a captain. So we named some joint practice winners on offense. Let's name some joint practice winners on the defensive side of the football. If I missed the name, this is your opportunity to tell me, because I talk to certain people. I'm sure you guys see other people out there reporting other things. I want to know who you think is a winner on defense. Now, in terms of the losers, I got 4 names here to talk about from the loser standpoint. First name I'm going to bring up here is Jordan Willis. And the reason, Isaac Rochelle continues to play well. Adam Plant Jr., he played well on Wednesday. He missed Thursday's joint practice. But then on top of that, Willis is an interesting player. And they like his ability to play inside, outside on that defensive line. But I haven't heard much from players, coaches, people who I talk to, nothing on Willis. And I got to make that him. That has to make him a loser. Let's go to another name here. It's Byron Young. Byron Young was underwhelming in the first preseason game, was, according to reports, underwhelming in Wednesday's practice, missed Thursday's practice. And when you hear all these other reports, Byron is obviously going to make the team. He was a 3rd-round pick. But when you hear all these other reports about some of these other defensive tackles stepping up, the Raiders, they're going to have a lot of tough decisions to make. Byron's going to make it. That still doesn't mean that he can't be a loser. Let's go to another name here that's a loser, Divine Diablo. I want more. And this is more of the expectation. Is he doing okay? Yes. I need more. If you're going to have the green dot, if you're going to be this top linebacker, it blows my mind the fact that this Raiders organization has yet to sign a linebacker from the free agents that are out there right now to help compete with this team, because it is one of the worst linebacker rooms in the NFL. And I get so frustrated with Divine because he has all the talent in the freaking world. He's an athletic specimen. He is. but he can't seem to put it together up here. And maybe they're throwing a little bit too much at him, but it looks like a lot of these other defenders are getting it. And they're leaving Devine in the back. He needs to start catching up. The final name here for losers is Tyler Hall. And the reason why Hall's on this list is I talked to a source at Raiders joint practice the last 2 days. And with Nate Hobbs missing on Wednesday, Amik Robertson and Tyler Hall, they got more of the extra reps in the slot. I was told that Amik outplayed Tyler Hall. And then today, I was told that he did okay. I don't know if he's going to make the 53-man, but if Amik's outplaying him, and where they have Amik on the depth chart, and what I've seen from preseason, what I've heard from reports, players, I would say Amik is above Tyler Hall right now. And that's just the God-honest truth. Now, remember, if you don't already know, you can always hit me up on Twitter. You can always hit me up on Instagram as well. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. Trying to keep you guys up to date with as much Raiders content as humanly possible, because I know our live shows are a good time, but also covering the joint practices, covering everything that this team does 24/7 is something that I do take a lot of pride in. So, if you got that commitment to excellence, hit that subscribe button, and don't be afraid to hit us up on social media.